Nega lo yifat lecha ki mamlatan yisavei lo yismacha. Yo say the Tikado, the Tokadai, the Nanamama, everyone must be able to that the Alliance not more. We are still public hospital. The Devabov and the Tog of this house, to the Fab, to the Church, so Hirami Solo, Shirami Pakapila, Pitch Ahu, the Mama, Dera, Aloka, the Alok, get up the food, Karan, Paul, Ellis, the Rogo, the Necha, Zaka, Lojak, Habib Lamar Israel Perez, the President Union, Santa Monica Lotine, Raja, Ra, Nega Loikwa, Bordaca, Steve, our party, the Vila, the Farkas, the Paul Dirakefa.
Ladies and gentlemen, if I could remind everyone to please turn off your cell phones for the service. The family has been seated. There are a few extra chairs about. Please don't be bashful.
Well, we said, just so everybody won't think it was voodoo. We were just doing my job to let people know what the meaning of our Jewish rituals are. And this is one of the deepest secrets of the Torah. And I was crying because every Shabbos I end with this same prayer that I just said 7 times for Lee. And every Shabbos I'm practicing dying. It sounds, could sound morbid or weird, but it's not, because the Torah tells us that Shabbos and death are partners. They're both God's stop signs. We stop on Shabbos, and we stop when we die. And out of the Chava, death was not created in Genesis, Bereshit. Death was an addition. Chava, Adam and Chava couldn't wait until Shabbos to eat the fruit. If they ate the fruit of knowledge on Shabbos, it could have integrated it. So Shabbos is the day where we look at a bigger picture. And when we face death, we're looking at a bigger picture. So every Shabbos, we end Shabbos with this same prayer. Some people do. I put a lot of effort into it, and then I sing a song at the end, which isn't in part here today, which is Ariach Yami Matzviacha, with long life I have given you, and I pray for my own life every Shabbos. So I'm just practicing for this moment to bring Lee, which is a great honor to the faith. And we were good friends when he was alive, and I'm honored to be here. And I ask Yitzhak ben Shlomo for forgiveness if I in any way neglected him, didn't respond to his smile, which he always gave me. And I'm a therapist with Ron, we've worked together, and he was my only client that ever always made me feel better. When I met him, all the sports. Want me to do something for them. We play pool for many of our appointments, which is also highly unusual. And then Lee introduced me to Lori Green. And I shared with Ron that Ellis Green, Lori's brother, also took care of him. He was alive. He was my friend in high school. But he was my only friend that died in Vietnam. It was very sad for me, and I know it was sadder for Lori. And to see how Ron and Lee fit together like a hand in a glove. And Ron always helped him since he was a little boy. It was very moving. And so I always loved playing pool with all the people at the pool hall knew us and knew Lee. They always look forward to having it. And it was kind of a seedy place. So it was a unique chapter of my own personal history as a psychotherapist. To have that kind of session with somebody. Sometimes we do more for the clients at the pool hall. And that helped us both. So it was a very unique operation, not fully okayed by the whatever board oversees those kind of things. Very unorthodox. But it was pleasure to know Lee and Lori. And one of the most memorable things I was sharing with my own son, Josh, is Lee and Lori came over with Ron, and probably were there in Maryland at the hospital.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, in the store, and we all remember it as one of the high points of our lives that came to visit. Josh was, it's not easy when you're totally paralyzed. So he really helped Josh with his smile and the joy he brought in such a story. We danced together, all of us, and it was, we remember it. It's one of those landmarks. It was such a shocking part of our life. Anyway, I will share this. King David got up at midnight to write these. Share the words with you. A couple of songs that anybody else wants to say word. Because the purpose of eulogies is to make people cry, because you had a chance here to do this is like a special Shabbos. Why is it like Shabbos? Because you get a bigger picture. You think about your death. The Torah says, don't hesitate to talk about it, because it's your friend. Your friend. You get a bigger, what's the whole picture? What's going on in the world? One of the songs, last time I said it was at Babi Yar in Ukraine. This poem. If you feel the words, so I'll just try to share them in English, and ask yourself which words mean something to you. Which words can you feel? Because otherwise, it's just a ritual, and doing just a ritual now. Lee deserves more, and everybody here deserves more than a ritual. We need to feel every moment of it. So I'm happy to cry. I'm happy that my father taught me that real men do cry and eat quiche. It's a very big gift I got from him. And so if you cry now, it's a gift to everyone. And it says, God, Hashem, cries with us. And this is where the word mystery comes from, a Hebrew word, which is also appropriate for now, right before Purim. It's Esther's name. There's a special thing, shovel that they use to shovel the ashes of the temple. And it was also a flute that played over 100 different tunes. And it was called the Mistarim, which is the origin of the English word mystery. This death is the ultimate mystery. Hashem, God is the ultimate mystery. And we have a chance to think more broadly today than we do other times. And this is a special gift. And birth and death are also one circle. It's not separate. We cry at our birth and we cry at our death. And what does it mean to be a human being? We cry at our birth and our death. What does that mean to everyone? What are our priorities? What's important to us? What do we spend our time doing? These are all questions to ask as we put the dirt on Lee, and we'll all participate in that. And we don't give it over to professionals or hired staff or anything, because this is us. We're all tied as human beings. We all die, and we're all tied together in this common bond of death. And here's the words of the psalm. You dwell in the shelter of the Most High, abiding in the shadow of the Almighty. I say of my Lord, my refuge and my stronghold, my God in whom I trust, that God will deliver you from the ensnaring net, from the destructive plague. With God's pinions will God shelter you, and under God's wings shall you find refuge. Faith in God shall be your shield and protector. Fear not the terror of the night, the arrow that flies by day, the plague, in our case, the virus that stalks us in the darkness, the destruction that ravages at noon, Ukraine. Oh, 1,000 may fall at your left side and 10,000 at your right, shall not reach you. Look but clearly, and you shall see the retribution against the wicked, because you said, you, Lord, are my trust. You set the Most High as your dwelling. No harm shall befall you, nor disease come near your tent. For God will give you God's angels charge. Concerning you, to guard you. Thank you. Concerning you, to guard you in all your ways. So we pray for faith. Esther did what Mordecai told her to do. She was very reticent. She was raised as an Orthodox Jewish woman. She didn't want to go in a swimming suit contest or go to be Ahasuerus. She was married to Mordecai. She didn't want to be Ahasuerus' wife. She was totally said to Mordecai no when he had to tell her everything to do. But she prayed for faith, and she got it, and she prayed for composure. She didn't pray to solve the genocide problem that was there. She prayed for faith and composure. And she was, after that, from that point on, those of us who are sensitive to sex roles, she told Mordecai what to do. She didn't tell her what to do. She told him what to do. And she told the Jewish people what to do. Fast for me, support me for 3 days. I'll figure out a solution to this. And she gained, she says, I'm smart enough, but I didn't have the faith of myself and the faith of God to get through this. So she prayed for her own composure. And we pray today also for that. And it said that if you don't say this after Shabbos, you're susceptible to the heart attack, which is what killed me. on Sunday, because it's a shock if you really do Shabbos and you are brave enough and have courage enough to say no on Shabbos, the car and the computer and the cell phone. Then it gives you faith when you face your own death. And so that's what we're doing today. That's why we say this 7 times and kind of strain a bit to get the coffin. Thanks for all the pallbearers who did that. And with that, I'll turn it over to anybody in the family who wants to say a word. Yes. Part of what I realized about Lee was, thank you. My memories, I'm getting old. Yeah, but I didn't forget that. Today I'm a fountain, and that's what I said on my bar mitzvah, but I realized that Lee hadn't had one. And my work with him was, and my work with everybody, with myself too, is to be a man, to be a man. And this is a rite of passage. And the bar mitzvah was a rite of passage. And one of the memorable moments of my life was Lee's bar mitzvah Kohelet. And I knew various problems had crept up. And I knew he wanted to feel like a real man. And not so easy, you know, we have a way, this was one of the issues with my son who was paralyzed. We have a way of diminishing people who are disabled. And Lee and Lori were the purest souls maybe I ever met in my life, actually, as far as that goes. But just saying, my son teaches me every day. He says, I want to do it on my own, whether it's putting his coat on or whatever it is. I want to do it on my own. And that's what I felt from Lee. And that's why I trained him through his bar mitzvah to help the family. And it was a big deal. Because again, it's a moment that's more than a ritual. It's a rite of passage, as this is. And, respect that and we honor it. Glad to be there at his bar mitzvah, and now again. Who would like to say something?
I'm not going to make it through that talk, but so this all happened really quickly, but it's been tough. I would say Lee and I have been close to our lives, but it doesn't do it justice to say close. We've been together, you know, growing up and coming out to Denver, and I think Lee's been an inspiration to me. Actually, he gave me a understanding of humanity and people and sensitivity, and I wouldn't be who I am totally were it not for the influence of Lee. You know Lee. Lee was a joyful person. He had a wonderful personality. He had a great sense of humor, and he was a compassionate person. Lee loved people. He loved animals. There wasn't a dog that wouldn't come to sit on Lee's lap. I don't care if the dog was barking and doing whatever. And Lee would love going to the zoo. He lit up other people as well, not just me, people that was around. So Lee was at the workshop, lived 20 years or more, lived in a group home, And Lee was a mensch, and uh, it's it's hard for me to be without him. Just just so you know, I mean, a little bit. We grew up in Cincinnati, and Lee came out here shortly after I came out for the Army, and then we decided to stay here and brought Lee out, and then he had his bar mitzvah. Uh, what about Lee? He liked his animals. He liked people. He liked to go places. He liked to do things. He liked to help others. And since even before he came out, Lee was a teacher at a kindergarten, an assistant teacher. He was in his own class, and they realized Lee is good with kids. And he was an assistant teacher at Temple Shalom in Cincinnati before he came out here, and always liked to participate in all the Jewish festivals and things. But he was a good guy. He was just a good guy, and he lit up the people around him. I think he was a stalwart. He loved the workshop. Shalom, you're here. He never missed. He wouldn't miss a day. 20 years, he probably missed 2 days. and he would never miss. And the group home as well. He was very happy there till he got so incapacitated. Then, fortunately, there was a period where Laura, you and Lee could live together. Lee had to leave the group home first because he was too immobile, but then you guys joined and had a nice run together. And I'm glad you're here. What else did Lee like? We grew up in Cincinnati. Cincinnati is baseball city. It's just baseball. So Lee loved baseball. I love baseball. In our house, you listen to the game on the radio loud. Every game. I don't know how my mother put up with it, but every game was on the radio. We played wiffle ball, Lee and I, in the backyard, and we would go to the ritual was we'd go to Crosley Field. We'd meet my dad downtown. We'd go to Izzy Cadets, which was a deli. We get a corned beef and we would put a latke whip in and make pickle barrels. It wasn't like East Side Deli here. It was on Central Avenue. Central Avenue, where my dad worked and hung out, was like 5 Points 50 years ago. But so we go there and we have the sandwich, and there were always like 6 policemen eating there. You know, it was a good place when the police were always eating there. And that's the first thing that happened when we moved here. I went to the deli. I said, "Where's the police? There's no police. This can't be good." And I'm sorry if I offended anyone. It's a sign, but so he loved his baseball win. Then we picked up that tradition. So Laurie, you and I, and Lee and Gabi, we'd go to the ball game every year. We'd go baseball, and that was a big event. What else did Lee like? Bowling. Bowling, yeah. I got his bowling ball in my van. Lee was big on bowling. What else? And pool. Cool. And he could play. He was a lefty. He could play. And, my dad was a lefty. Gabi is mixed, but it's unique. Gabi writes with his right hand, but he plays pool left-handed. And when he played soccer, he kicked left-footed, which made him a good on the left side. So we have a mixed dominance. So Lee, I think he touched everybody that knew him. He was enthusiastic, he was lively, and he loved people. He didn't like being by himself. He loved people. He liked interacting. And, every once in a while, I was a psychiatrist at Kids Success Program at Jewish Family for like 30 years. I did. And then we would have social workers in certain Denver public schools. And we would cross paths sometimes with the people from Jewish Family, and they said, "Oh yeah, you're Lee's brother," and that's who I am. People, I can't tell you how many people come up. "Oh, you're Lee's brother," and I'm still always going to be. That's part of my identity here. I'm Lee's brother, and I'm all the better for it.
Anybody else want to?
First of all, I'm really happy to see all of you here. Just a testament to, you know, my uncle's spirit and how many people he touched. And to have Lori, his best friend of many years here, is really special. You know, I've lived away from Denver for quite some time, so I didn't get to see Lee all that often, but every time I came home, Lee would get so excited and he would give me this big hug. And I mean, not like these little hugs that we give each other. This is like a big bear hug, and he'd hold you so tight that you think your spine was gonna break, and he wouldn't let you go. And it was just like, this is how, you know, human beings are meant to connect. And the other thing he would say, since I was little, but up until this visit last Rosh Hashanah, he would say, Sarah, you got big. You know, Lee and Lori actually came out to San Diego a couple of years ago, which is a few hours from where I live. And there's some photos of that on that table there. And that was really special to go to the beach with them. And Lee was just having the time of his life, telling me how they went to SeaWorld. Like everybody mentioned, he loves animals, be it a bird or a dog or a cat. And, you know, an animal could be, wouldn't want to go near anybody else, but they always wanted to go near Lee. And, you know, we'll miss him greatly. And he really had just such a big effect on all of us. And, you know, I think, like my dad mentioned, a lot of, you know, my dad is like one of the most compassionate, caring people. And I think a lot of that came from growing up with Lee. And just, you know, we'll try to carry on what I can of Lee's memory. And the one other thing that I won't forget is his laugh. He really found the humor in anything. He could be going through a tough time, but he'll laugh at a joke. Even if it's not a joke, he'll give you a good laugh. Yeah.
Well, thank you all for coming. I know we really enjoyed co-health services. It was there every holiday and sometimes on Shabbat, and that meant a lot to him. Sometimes someone who were at his bar mitzvah. And so Ron and Lee and Lori and Lee had the most beautiful bond that I rarely see among people. I mean, especially, you know, two adults. And they could just read each other. They didn't even have to talk. They could just read each other. And it was just beautiful. I used to cry about it. It was just so beautiful. And Lee was, I mean, you know, big guy, but, and, you know, he had some trouble with speech. So he had trouble communicating sometimes. But he was a really, really sensitive guy. And as many of you know, Bobby and Rosina adopted a little baby a couple of years ago. And the first time we met her really got me. You know, Rafael was talking about the bear hug, and I was thinking, please don't hug at the time. He was so sweet and gentle with her. And she bonded with him immediately. she just was so comfortable with him immediately. He was so gentle. He didn't really just kind of hugged her little thing and kind of tapped her and rubbed her. And it was so sweet. It was just so sweet. And then the other thing I wanted to say was when we had surgery a number of years ago. Ron and I were at the hospital, and we that night after the surgery, he was having trouble. He had all this medicine. We were thinking he was going to fall asleep, but he didn't. And so I stayed, and then I was going to leave at 11 or 12, but every time I went to leave, he would stir. So I would just stay. So I stayed there all night, and we talked all night long until like 6 in the morning. And it was just amazing. I mean, he's alone with you, and because he was, on pain meds and everything. But he talked and talked and talked. And one of the things he did was he asked me why I became a psychologist. Now that is such deep. So he really wanted to know me and ask questions about everybody in the family and detailed questions. And I was just so impressed about how sensitive he was and all the things that he was picking up. I mean, I never talked to him about being a psychologist, but all the things that he was picking up that, we didn't even know he was picking up. And he expressed it a lot physically in his hugs and his smile that people have mentioned. And people that really, especially people that really took time to get to know him, really loved him.
Anybody else who wants to speak, you can.
I meant to mention the other time I said the psalm was before Lee would give me a hug, because somehow he thought I was, like a big tough guy. So he had a special hug for me. I had to curb my loins to do it. But I wanted to stress one other point with Laurie here. That part of this bigger picture I'm talking about is seeing how pieces of a puzzle fit together. And it wasn't a coincidence that Ron and Lee came and replaced Ellis, because I was Ellis's friend in high school, and he was a special person. He took care of Laurie just like he did. And then when he passed away in the Vietnam War, God said, let's send Lee and Ron to replace him. And that's not an accident or a coincidence. That's the hand of God. It's good to appreciate those moments. And so really thank Laurie for being here today. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. So we'll read one more psalm, and then we'll put the dirt on the casket. And if anybody wants to say anything to Lee particularly, does anybody else want to say anything? Yes.
Hello all. My name is Ari David Green Harris, and I'm Ellis's son. I was only 6 months old when my father died in Vietnam. And all through my life, Lori's been involved in it. And Lee has been there ever since I can remember. when we went into the group home. I think 1982 or 83. 82. See, he remembers. And the bond that they had was special. It was. And every time that I came down to the group home when I moved back here in 1995, he would always say hello. He always had that big smile, and he would always have that big hug. And he would always ask how I was doing and what I was up to. But more importantly, was the bond that those two had and the friendship that they had together. That they are the two purest souls that I know, and we live in humility with them and what they've gone through, and how their eternal optimism, despite everything that they've been through, is something that I stand in awe of, and have with Lori as long as I've been on this earth. I know eventually someday it will happen where I'll be up here. Well, I have friends. And I do remember one of Lee outside of the councils that I had coming over, which was he did a similar thing when my daughter was born. We brought her down 10 years ago to the group home. And it was something where she was very tiny. She was about 2 or 3 months old. Brought her in, and Lori got to hold her, and Lee wanted to hold her. And he, this big man, and has a little baby, and she was crying, and all of a sudden she stopped. And he started using his soothing voice, and it seemed to work for her. So he was truly a blessed man, and we miss him entirely.
Me and Lori, same roommates, and he's a good friend, and I love him. His smile too. He's pretty good. Just has some good roommate. So is Lori too. I think it's still Ari too. So is Deborah too, and so is Judy. So is Roxanne. And I just miss him. Just love him. And what to say? I'm here. What to say? Amen.
Hi, everyone. I met Lee about 11 years, about 11 now. But he was, like I said, there. I thought that he still got him. I used to go to the group home after he was over to Salon, over to Ace, and he would always give me one of those big nights. And I would bring my grandsons over, and they loved it. He would play with them. He would wrestle with them. He used to always say, "Are your grandkids coming over to play today?" And he would like sit there, and they would come up and sneak away, and he'd grab them. He had so much fun with them, and they loved it. It was like an outing when their parents would say, "Grandma's working today. Oh, can we go see them? Can we go see me?" And Lori, and they all had a really good time with him. But you're right, he loved his birds. And I remember when he was in the nursing home, and I would go and stay with him. And you're right, he'll talk to you about everything. He was a very smart guy, and he made you feel so welcome. And for years, I worked in the business field, and then I started working at the group home. But there was nothing like working with the people, and they all taught me so much, and there's so much love out there. And they don't take anything. They love everything. They never complain. I don't care when Lee was really sick before he had his surgery. He never complained. Get him up in the morning, he'd get up, he'd get going. You would never know when these guys were sick because they never complained. They were always happy, and they were always, always thinking of you, everybody else around them. But it was the same. My life is a lot richer since I met them all. And they contributed a lot to it. I want to thank everybody getting to be a part of my life. Thank you.
Anybody else? I'd like to also stress that part of Lee's bar mitzvah was getting out of the house to the group home, getting his job at the Shalom workshop. These were all things that he wanted to be a man. Rite of passage, many bar mitzvahs are meaningless rituals. And then that's the end of the Jewish education of the young person, unfortunately. But for Lee, it was and that also, he took it seriously. This was a sign of God that now he's a man and he can have his own job. Both of those are key. Watch. Help him value himself. But again, a lot of that is, most of us are not disabled, so we don't put ourselves in that shoe, those shoes. It means a lot. Learn a lot from that. This example. So we'll read this. Like I said, last time I said this was the Babi Yar on that, and they Biktam Ladavid, guard me, O God, for in you I have taken refuge. You have said, the Lord, you are my Lord, I have no good beyond you. As for the holy ones, you're one of the holy ones who are in there. Neil and I were standing there at Babi Yar in a rainstorm. Feel the holiness emanating from the earth. Put a holy person in the ground that run to other gods. As for the holy ones who are in the earth and the mighty, in whom is all my desire, their sorrows will multiply. Those that run to other gods, their blood libations will I not pour out, nor take their names upon my lips. The Lord is my allotted portion and my share. You sustain my faith. Portions have fallen to me in pleasant places. Lovely indeed is my estate. I will bless the Lord who has given me counsel. My conscience admonished me at night. I have set the Lord before me always, because God is at my right hand. I shall not falter. Therefore my heart rejoices and my entire being exalts. Also my body will rest assured. For you will not abandon me to the grave, nor will you let me, your devout one, see destruction. You will make known to me the path of life. In your presence is fullness of joy. There is a delight at your right hand for eternity. When you have joy, you don't have to search for happiness. A lot of us spend our whole life searching for happiness. But Lee was present at the moment and felt the joy of the moment. And that's a special gift. Again, something I've learned a lot from to try to emulate. And finally, Psalm 23, Mizmah the David, the song of David, who may sojourn in your tent, who may dwell in your holy mountain, one who walks in the purity as what is righteous and speaks the truth in the heart, who has no slander on the tongue, nor has done harm to a fellow. Lee and Laurie taught me what a gift it is not to ever lie, not to deceive anyone. Lee just couldn't be deceived. He couldn't deceive anybody. He was genuine. What?
Or judge anybody.
Yeah, He was genuine, no slander, no gossip, and not 1 ounce of, ego in him. What a gift, what a learning thing it was. Nor cast disgrace toward a neighbor, in whose eyes a contemptible person is repulsive, but who honors those who are in awe of the Lord, who swears truthfully even to personal hurt, and never retracts, who does not lend money at interest, nor takes a bribe against the innocent. One who does these things shall never falter. The song of David, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not lack. God makes me lie down in lush pastures. God leads me to beside tranquil waters. God restores my soul and guides me in righteous paths for God's name's sake. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, that's where everybody is right now. The shadow of death. I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your scepter and staff, they comfort. You prepare a table before me in full view of my adversaries. You have anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life. I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for a length of days. And now we'll put the third on. Everybody should participate to the degree you can. Ron will start it off with family by actually putting handfuls of dirt, feel the earth from dust to dust, ashes to ashes. I'll go back to the earth. Okay. So, often is a flame by back deliberately, and cuts holes in the body. We had the first organic funerals. 3,000 years ago. Sarah, just use your hands. Other people use the shovels. The sound is important. The love. And it makes it real. Makes it real. It's not very important. It grounds all of us. As soon as we're done. And when the grave is finished covering, then our most ancient Jewish custom is ripping our clothes. That person will keep the ripped shirt as a memorial. And it shows that hearts are broken. Physical signs, every mitzvah has a soul and body. Soul is what everybody here is willing to feel. One is the one who is obligated, but everybody can do it. I wanted to duck feed. I had to go for it is. Raphael, can we well, it's just here.
Yeah, he's my, so, yeah. Adam's like, yeah, he came back and yeah, yeah. We're like, trying to like, In the wet, that was nice. Up here was wonderful. It was amazing.
A lot of people feel like it.
And then. Do you know that? Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, COVID.
And I.
Always want to drive by your house if it's like not down on the airport. I go on mom's.
They never have to drive by your house. That year, we are at 9. Yeah.
My dad always goes.
So, I mean. Yes. Get there before.
Everybody, we're gonna. Okay. We'll wait. I will. Okay. Okay, please, we're not done yet. It's our custom to make 2 straight lines where we say to the mourners who walk through the lines, may the place of the universe comfort you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. And so that's what we say. Everybody can, if you need to remember it, I'll say it again. May the comfort, may the mourner, the place, we say, we call God the place of the universe. They comfort you among the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. Because when you're after a death, you're upside down. Very good. And what Ron is gonna say, the gravesite cottage, so if everybody can gather around and then make two lines here for the mourners to walk, to escort the mourners out of the graveyard. Let's say the gravesite cottage here. Better Yikadal, Yikadash, Meirabah, Damad, Gahud. It's a different one. It's a different one. Atid, Adakab, Haya, Meimaya, Shaka. So we say the regular one? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yikadal, Yikadash, Meirabah, Yomad, Yibrak, Kibute, Lik, Makute, Makai, Chon, Nikon, Makai, Nikon, the Israel, Agolo, Vizman, Karim, Mame, Yehesh, Me, Rabba, Mibora, Lomo, Meomaya, Yidbarak, Vishtabak, Vishbar, Vishtabak, Yinasei, Vitadar, Vitaleb, Vitalal, Shay, Kushab, Rifu. Lehila, Kol, Berhata, Rata, Tustapata, Vidakabata, Tamiro, the Alma, Ibro, the H, Lava, Rabba, Shamaya, Makai, Malenu, Al Israel, Ibro, Ome, Ose, Shalom, Ibro, Lab, Uya, Se, Shalom, Malenu, Al Israel, Ome. Now, this is your holding these hands through purgatory. Yes. But the soul still goes on. Stay with you. 11 months. So, two lines, please. I know you can do it. Then the order of the walk between the two lines of people. Great.